Last summer, I had a defining moment in my life, and I realized I really wasn't stuck. It was really just some of the old patterns and habits and programs and unconscious stories that were still running. And when I discovered this, I made some simple yet powerful changes that transformed my life. So today I'm going to share with you 4 simple habits that have really helped become a defining moment for my shift. And I know they can do the same for you. So I want to take a moment to share with you something that blew me away. So as of today, it is January 14th, my father's birthday, by the way, and that is 2025. And as you can see here, it was July 21st of 2024, and the first thing I wrote on here that caught my attention big time yesterday was catch the emerald wave. And it was a full moon, and it was moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. Look at where we're at now, 6 months later, right? And that's how the moon cycles work. But in that, it just so happened to be the full moon yesterday. We're moving from Capricorn, going to be moving into Aquarius, and I'm on the Emerald Coast now, catching the emerald wave. And I recall back to that time. Once I saw this, I forgot about it. Once I saw it, I had this feeling of I need to jump ship. Everything's not working, and I need to do it, and I need to leap now. And if I catch this wave that's coming through, like I felt like it was a tsunami of energy coming through. If I catch this wave's going to take me and, shift me to the next version of myself. And I need to take action, and it was urgent, and I got to do it now. So on this particular day is when I started doing some of the things that I have provided for you in the 5 steps to get in alignment, which, by the way, get the download, the link be below. That is, I told you, transform my life. And this is where some of this came from. And I'm going to share with you a couple things, but I just want you to see, this has been months of my process of tracking things that I'm sharing with you. So tune in because it changed my life. So on that particular day, I wrote down 4 things that I wanted to release, 4 things I wanted to have the transformation of. So if I don't want this, what's the opposite of it? And what do I want instead? And then 4 actions that I would need to take. And then 4 affirmations that would help me reprogram that. Well, I went back yesterday without realizing it and didn't plan to do it, but did, and realized I had accomplished all of this and thinking about and reflecting on the transformation that's taken place in my life. And now I am catching the emerald wave every day, and every night it just rolls into my, from my bed. I see it night, morning, and again, it blows me away. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I wanted you to know and understand when I'm coming here to tell you that I have these tools for you to make a change in your life. I am not kidding, because I literally do it. But that's a piece of this. I think the key is to know, as I mentioned, these are subtle changes that we're not recognizing we need to do in our daily habits, in our daily life, in our daily patterns, in our daily actions, that how we show up in a place that we are putting ourselves first and honoring our emotions, and most importantly, living presently and doing things on a daily basis that are small but consistent, that truly transform the things of how we experience our day. One of the most important things for me in that is, kind of checking in with myself of how do I feel today? And most importantly, doing what makes me feel at top notch, at my highest level. And if it's not, then maybe I need to release it. I need to let it go, or I need to put it on a shelf for today. And then in addition to that, on the flip side of that, what is it that, maybe I could implement, and what are the things that I could do to take me to the next level? And one of the pages I had wrote here was what I want to change and how I want to live, and what my perfect day looks like, and what my perfect year looks like, and what do I want to do with myself, and how do I want to feel? So at the end of the day, the other piece in this that's so important for me is to make sure at the end of my day, I feel fulfilled. And that I showed up from a place of throughout the day, knowing that I am not compromising myself, my experience, my feelings, my thoughts, but most importantly, that in my present day, am I enjoying it? Am I having fun? And one of the things I wrote down even just this morning was, what vibration got me here? So if you're in a situation you don't like, then write down the question. I saw that in here too. Like, I had done this once before where I wrote, I'm here, and whatever it was, and I don't like it. So what vibration was I operating at that created that in my life? And what vibration do I need to get to in order to change that in my life? And when you ask those questions and you take some time to journal out those things, they can truly present to you information that you're not fully aware of. So let's get into those 4 ways that transformed me, that are simple and powerful. So habit number 1 is the OneTouch Rule. And I also call this the handle it once rule. And so just to kind of in a nutshell explain what that means is that it's so much easier if you eat food and you've finished with your plate that you put it straight in the dishwasher and you don't necessarily let the dishes pile up in the sink to create a bigger job later. And what happens is whenever we allow these things to pile up, then the task becomes more overwhelming, and then that energy creates a resistance that causes us not to want to face the resistance really, or the bigger job. And so if we can learn to, for instance, even me, what I try to do, and this is no joke, when I check the mail, it goes straight to where it's going. And 9 times out of 10, that's to the trash, right? But a lot of people put a mail in a stack and they go through it later, and then they have to spend all this time sorting through stuff that's nothing but a time waster and kills your energy, bogs you down. Now, I'm talking about these simple habits right here, but I want you to know these simple habits are a reflection of something deeper you're also processing the same way. An emotion. You're not facing it. You're not understanding where it's coming from. You're not connecting to it on a level that you are for once facing whatever even a fear is. And then when you face the fear head on, then you no longer have the fear. And you can identify where it came from. And then you can start to process as time goes by, as you go. And then you're not so bogged down energetically, compressed and weighted down with all of these things that are just, going through your body from yesterday that is today not even existing any longer, to the point where you're still living in yesterday unconsciously without even realizing it. So life-changing habit number 2 is breathing for energy and thinking of your breath as energy and life force and life flow. We've all been there where we had that dip in our energy, brain fog, needing caffeine or candy bar or something to really lift you up because you're just fatigued and exhausted. And let's face it, going through this Ascension process is exhausting on our system. So one of the things that I discovered, even as a chiropractor working with patients, and statistics show that only 1/7 of the lungs is used. And when I would work on people's backs, I could tell they were holding their breath and their bodies were just in this armor mode of fight or flight, constantly stimulated. So what I've discovered, in a very natural way, and in just a few seconds, you can actually stimulate and boost your energy. And I want to show you how to do that today. So I learned about this really cool breathing technique from Dr. Andrew Huberman. He is a neuroscientist and a professor at Stanford University, and he studies the brain. And one of the things he discovered was that whenever we take this double inhale on our inhale, that it literally feeds the brain more oxygen and helps you to decrease the carbon dioxide that's trapped in your blood from the fight or flight. And so in the studies of this, it's been shown that animals such as dogs, they do this as their calming method. And even babies know how to do this, because if you've ever noticed, when they're really upset and they cry and they're kind of screaming, they do that double breath. And then that's what they do as a natural mechanism just to calm themselves down. So the science behind it is that whenever you breathe in 2 quick inhales and then exhale slowly, it literally changes the pattern and the flow of oxygen into the bloodstream and straight to your brain. And as I mentioned, it decreases your carbon dioxide levels. And the way this does this is that as it comes in, the breath comes in and brings in the oxygen, it literally goes straight into the nervous system and acts as a calming agent on your parasympathetic nervous system, which then slows down the fight or flight method into your sympathetic nervous system. And then that is how that sends signals straight to the brain saying, we're calm, we're okay, we're safe. And now you can actually feel that boost of oxygen going through your brain, through your body, and it increases your focus and your stamina and your ability to truly feel energy from a natural place. And what's cool is if you make this a daily practice, a daily habit, and a daily intentional breath, what you can do is you can use it throughout your day as a tool, as the medicine, whenever you need it. So to give you an example of that, for me, like if I'm about to journal, or if I'm about to do my writing sessions, or even if I've been working on creating content for, say, my online courses, and been doing this recently with a lot of work into my writing course. And that being said, whenever I've been sitting for long periods of time and I feel like I need that extra boost of clarity, I pause and I incorporate that into my daily practice in that given moment. And so it only takes even just a few seconds or even 2 to 3 cycles of this breath, and you get the instant benefit. Now let's try this together. I want you to start by just taking an inhale deeply in through your nose, and right at the top, sneak in a second quick inhale, just a small sip of air. And now begin to exhale slowly and fully through your mouth. Now do this again with me. Inhale deeply, sip a little bit more of air at the top, and exhale slowly. And one more time on your own. Now notice how you feel. You feel a little bit lighter, a little bit clear. Make sure to let me know that in the comments. And this is one of my go-to practices. And if you give it a try, make sure to let me know in the comments how it works for you, because this is so impactful and so powerful. If you would like to see more simple habits like this that can help you throughout your day, make sure to let me know in the comments so I can make another video similar to this or on something that's of interest to you. So habit number 3 is intentional boredom. Okay, so today we live in a world that's constantly buzzing, notifications, YouTube videos, emails, TikToks, but when was the last time that you just sat with yourself in total silence? I'm in complete silence to where you can even hear your heartbeat. You know, the overstimulation really drains us. It's mentally wears us down and disconnects us from ourselves. And so this intentional boredom, the idea behind it is it's going to create space for you to step away from the constant stimulation so you can gain clarity, you can have creativity in that, and you can also make a connection. It's one of the ways I do my creativity, especially these days, is to be able to really just sit down and listen to my heart and my higher self. And most importantly, in the connection in this, I'm referring to the connection with yourself, the connection with your heart. And in that time, get to know you. Because as we become someone else and we're making this shift from who we used to be to who we are becoming, we need to know who that person is. We need to connect with that person so that we can show up for that person in the way that that person wants to be showed up for. And then on the contrary of this, you know, think about repeating things over and over and over, okay? And like say in a job or the factory, if you're doing something over and over and it's so repetition, like it's boring to me. Like I get bored doing the same thing over and over and over unless I change a system that helps me tweak what I'm doing. And so basically, I guess what I'm saying here is if you're going to continue some of your patterns, what you need to do is learn how to change your habits, that when you're doing these things, you're bringing a piece of your higher self, your quiet self into the presence of your daily self, so that that person can actually begin to feel like they're seen, they're heard, and that someone's showing up for them. And that's going to then help you begin to get to know this new version of you. And kind of recapping that, just knowing that, you really need to create some intentional boredom, because people, they scroll through social media or your phone through social media so fast that, now it's lucky if you have somebody 3 seconds, much less used to be like 13 seconds. And so, I used to do a time frame where I would schedule time to unplug, even if it's just 15 minutes a day. And then I would realize, okay, well, I wasn't too busy and I wasn't too distracted, so let me actually start to incorporate this more throughout the day. But when you start, you might need the intentional time to say, I'm going to schedule this in. I'm going to make me first. And that's why the morning time is so important for that. And as I mentioned, I'm going to come next week with a morning ritual meditation visualization for some of the reprogramming of the energy and these patterns for you. So make sure, if you haven't already done so, to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and you'll know when that video that releases next week. But I got to tell you something too, in this distraction, so many people have become addicted to the distraction, because it's easy for you to be so used and accustomed to avoiding, I call this creative avoidance, creatively avoiding these thoughts, feelings, or emotions that are trying to get your attention. Now, the other piece of that is, I've always said I'm a type A, type B wannabe. And so years ago, I read a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. And one of the key things I truly took away from that book was, because I couldn't rest until everything was done. And I really took to heart the idea that, when we die, our inbox is going to be full. And back then, my uncle, around this time this was taking place, and I just graduated chiropractic school, and I was starting my practice, and my uncle of 40 years old and his son, my cousin, was killed in a plane crash. And that was the trajectory of my spiritual awakening, and really taught me to learn to live a life of no regrets. And so if you've not read that book about Don't Sweat the Small Stuff and It's All Small Stuff, make sure to check it out. And I'll make sure to add it to my reading list, and that I'll put a link below that you can check out and get it from Amazon. So habit number 4 is chunking goals. I don't know about you, but I have big dreams. I have big aspirations. I have big ideas. And when you start to face some of those things, they can seem a little bit challenging. Especially, give you an example, when I was 19, I had a gym. I was always been mostly fit. Going through chiropractic school, I put on some weight, and it seemed challenging to get that off. I did. Then through a relationship and the Ascension and all the things I went through, I put on some weight again, took that off a few years ago now. And then in my COVID experience, I was knocked to my knees again. Couldn't even get out of bed with that, brushing my teeth and my heart racing. So I feel like I was pulling myself out of the grave to get back in a gym and face the things that felt intimidating now, because I didn't feel as strong. I didn't feel as fit or powerful. And it's very humbling to know when you wasn't even able to brush your teeth without your heart racing and lift up 2 pounds without your heart racing, to then decide I want to do a competition, which is a goal of mine for a long time. And I've come to this conclusion in all these shifts is, if not now, when? Right? So I set myself up for this idea that I want to do a challenge and a competition, I should say. And so that's a big thing, right? So we look at the big picture of me, say, wanting to do a challenge, right? That's overwhelming, to compete and to get physically fit, to know that, going from where I am now to getting where I want to go, that's a journey. But instead of us looking at how far away that is, if we can chunk down those ideas into smaller segments. So if you say want to lose 15 pounds, focus on 5 at a time. What I did was I decided, okay, I want to do this competition, and that seems big. So instead of looking that far away, I set myself up for an 8-week body transformation that I completed about 2 to 3 weeks ago. And I gotta tell you, I feel so much better. I feel so accomplished. Now, here's the thing. It didn't fully turn out to the level I wanted it to, meaning I didn't get as much progress as I wanted. And the reason being is because I had challenges to overcome to get myself back in shape, to be able to actually lift some of the weights without having the shoulder pain I was having. And then my thumb I couldn't even lift up weight and put any pressure on it. Now this started happening before I left Sedona in the summer, out of nowhere from doing Qigong and bouncing, and my hand kind of snapped, and when it did, it's never been the same. So those are some physical challenges that are coming up that I'm working through as to why and what I need to do to overcome them, but no excuses. I didn't let it stop me. It is doing much better now, and now I'm actually able to start lifting more, doing more, and getting back into more. But most importantly, when we want somebody to show up for us and we want to learn to trust ourselves, we need to do just that. We need to set ourselves up for these experiences, show up for ourselves, and know that we can trust our commitments to ourselves. So instead of looking at these big tasks, whatever you have in your life that feels so challenging, that makes you want to run, makes you not want to face it, that shuts you down, makes you feel, stuck in it and feel overweighted, like you're never going to get out of where you are, stop looking at the big picture, even though that's okay and the big picture is great. But stay focused on one chunk at a time. So these habits of streamlining your task and intentional breathing and chunking everything out and just being present and being more in that presence of the moment, they might seem very small, but let me tell you what, that little step in each day and building on that and staying consistent, I am telling you, it changed my life in many ways, especially in the last 6 months, as I mentioned. So try them out, and even if anything, just try one of them and stay consistent with it, stay present with it, or don't think it's something you use every day. Think of these things as tools and medicine that when you need it, you have these tools that you can use that become habits. But most importantly, pick the one that you need in your daily life and make it a consistent practice so that you don't forget about it and that, out of sight, out of mind thing. Next week, I'm going to be guiding you through a powerful morning ritual that will help amplify some of the things we've been talking about and help these daily practices be more reinforced even in your daily life. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll know whenever that video is released. And don't forget to download my free 5 steps to get in alignment guide so that you can use some of these habits and combine it with those 5 steps, and then that will keep you more in alignment with the daily practice that helps you become your truest and your best self. And I can't wait to see you then. Until next time, have a great and blessed day. Bye-bye.
Close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading